Title: Stories They Don't Teach in Schools, Episode 7. Subtitle: The Move Bombing, when a city bombed its own people. They called it a police operation. But it wasn't an operation. It was an attack. A state-sponsored act of violence against its own citizens. And for many who witnessed it, it was the day Philadelphia turned its back on justice. This is the story of the Move bombing, one of the darkest chapters in American history. A story so unbelievable that it sounds like fiction. But every word is true. It began in the 1970s. Move was a small, radical group founded by John Africa. They believed in unity, nature, and freedom, a mix of Black liberation, back-to-earth living, and protest against what they called the system. They lived communally, grew their own food, refused to use technology, and spoke out fiercely against police brutality, racism, and corruption. But their outspokenness made them enemies, especially of city officials who wanted silence, not truth. By the late 1970s, tension between Move and Philadelphia police had reached a breaking point. Their home was constantly raided. Their members were harassed, arrested, beaten. And in 1978, it turned deadly. Police surrounded Move's house in Powelton Village, a standoff that ended when an officer was killed in the chaos. Move members insisted they were unarmed and framed. But 9 of them, the Move 9, were sentenced to 30 to 100 years in prison. From that day, the group became a symbol of defiance. And the city? It vowed revenge. By 1985, the remaining Move members had relocated to Osage Avenue, in a quiet West Philadelphia neighborhood. They built a fortified home, boarded windows, loudspeakers broadcasting their messages of resistance day and night. Neighbors complained. The city called them radicals. And once again, the order came: get rid of Move. May 13, 1985. At dawn, over 500 police officers surrounded the house. They brought tear gas, automatic weapons, and explosives. Inside were 13 people, 6 adults and 7 children, families who had already lived through a decade of fear. Police demanded they come out. Move refused. What followed was not a negotiation, it was war. Police fired over 10,000 rounds of ammunition into the house. Neighbors hit the ground, terrified. For hours, the sound of gunfire echoed through the city. Then came a decision that would scar history forever. At 5:27 p.m., a police helicopter hovered over the roof of the Move home. From it, officers dropped a bomb, yes, a literal bomb, made of C4 explosives provided by the FBI. It detonated instantly. The blast tore through the building, setting it ablaze. Flames spread quickly. The entire block began to burn. But here's the part that will break your heart. Firefighters were ordered not to intervene. They watched as the fire consumed the house and everything around it. Children's screams echoed from inside. But no one came to help. The fire burned for over an hour. When it was finally out, 61 homes were destroyed. An entire Black neighborhood turned to ash. And inside that charred rubble, 11 members of Move, including 5 children, were dead. The next day, the city looked like a battlefield. Thick smoke still hung in the air. Families wandered the ruins of what used to be their homes. And at the center of it all, the blackened shell of Move's house, a haunting reminder of what happens when power loses its humanity. City officials held press conferences. They called it a regrettable tragedy. They blamed Move. They blamed the fire. But no one blamed the decision to drop a bomb on citizens. No one was punished. No one was held accountable. For decades, survivors lived with the scars. Ramona Africa, one of only 2 people to escape the flames, spoke out. They wanted to kill us. They wanted to erase us. Years later, the horror resurfaced when journalists revealed that the bones of the children killed in the bombing had been kept by local universities, used for research, displayed in classrooms, without their families' permission. Even in death, their humanity was denied. The Move bombing wasn't just an attack on one family. It was a message to every Black voice that dared to challenge the system. We can silence you. But despite the city's attempts to bury the truth, the story survived, whispered through generations, carried by those who refuse to forget. The MOVE bombing stands as one of the most horrifying examples of how far America's institutions were willing to go to silence Black resistance. A moment when justice didn't just fail, it burned to the ground. This is episode 7 of Stories They Don't Teach in Schools. A story not about the past, but about the patterns that still haunt the present. Because until truth is taught, until justice is done, the fire that started on Osage Avenue will never truly go out. If you believe stories like this deserve to be told, if you believe the truth should never be buried, subscribe, follow, and stay with us as we uncover the stories they don't teach in schools.